Let's talk about Tom Lehrer, a man who made math and mayhem rhyme and who managed to turn the world of numbers and chaos into a stage for laughter and sharp observation. He was a respected mathematician and a musical satirist, living two wildly different lives at once. By day, he was immersed in the logic and rigor of mathematics, and by night he transformed into a performer who used wit and melody to challenge the status quo. Lehrer could explain calculus by day and by night sing about nuclear annihilation with a wicked grin. His ability to switch between the worlds of academia and entertainment was nothing short of remarkable. Imagine your sharpest professor suddenly breaking into a song about poisoning pigeons in the park. That was Lehrer. He brought a sense of mischief and surprise to every performance, making the unexpected feel perfectly natural. He used music as a weapon, skewering everything from the Cold War to the Catholic Church. No topic was too taboo or too serious for his razor-sharp satire, and he delighted in poking fun at the powerful and the pompous. His humor made the unfunny accessible, turning dark topics into sing-alongs. Audiences found themselves laughing at things they never thought could be funny, united by Lehrer's clever wordplay and infectious melodies. Lehrer balanced academia and entertainment with effortless grace, proving you could be both brilliant and hilarious. He showed that intellect and humor weren't opposites. They could amplify each other. He wasn't chasing fame. He was dissecting society's absurdities with razor-sharp wit. For Lehrer, the joy was in the cleverness of the joke and the truth behind the laughter, not in the spotlight. His songs were lab reports on the human condition, exposing hypocrisy and ignorance with a catchy tune. Each lyric was a carefully crafted observation, blending intellect with irreverence. Lehrer's genius was in making intelligence cool, showing that a mind for math could also craft the perfect satirical lyric. He inspired generations to see that being smart could be subversive, creative, and even a little bit rebellious. He was a reluctant star, more interested in observation than applause. The stage was his laboratory, and the audience his willing test subjects. His dual identity, scientist and satirist, made his story irresistible. Lehrer's life was proof that you could be many things at once, and that creativity thrives at the intersection of disciplines. Every melody was a clever critique, every lyric a punchline with purpose. His songs were more than entertainment, they were commentary, delivered with a wink and a tune, and he did it all with a piano and a devilish sense of humor, leaving a legacy that still inspires those who believe that wit and wisdom belong together. Tom Lehrer's story begins in New York City, where he was a child prodigy on the Upper East Side. While other kids played, he mastered the piano and set his sights on Harvard, at just 16. At Harvard, he studied mathematics and unleashed his wit in the pages of the Harvard Lampoon. Lehrer flipped the academic world on its head, writing songs that were both inside jokes and universal comedy. He was the quiet guy at the party, secretly crafting songs that would roast everyone in the room. His early work was smart, specific, and so funny it spread beyond campus. Lehrer's comedy didn't talk down. It challenged you to keep up. He graduated magna cum laude, writing songs for fun while excelling in academics. He wasn't chasing stardom, just expressing the hilarious frustrations of a brilliant mind. That purity made his work potent and timeless. Lehrer wrote for himself and for anyone who could laugh at life's absurdities. Lehrer never aimed for fame. It found him by accident. He was, at heart, a private man, more comfortable with equations than encores, and yet the world couldn't help but notice his brilliance. In 1953, he self-recorded a handful of songs, never expecting them to travel far beyond his circle of friends. He sold copies around Harvard Square, slipping records into the hands of curious students and fellow academics, almost as an afterthought. But the album spread like wildfire, becoming an underground sensation without any marketing or radio play. Word of mouth did what no advertising campaign could. Soon he was performing in nightclubs and concert halls, captivating audiences with just a piano and his razor wit. His lyrics, sharp and subversive, cut through the haze of smoky rooms. Lehrer's shows were legendary. No theatrics, just intelligence and fearlessness. He didn't need costumes or elaborate sets. His words and music were enough to electrify a room. Even as his popularity soared, he remained detached, treating fame as a curious experiment rather than a goal. He observed the world with a scientist's eye, never letting adoration cloud his perspective. He kept up his academic work, even serving at the NSA, yes, the very government he so often mocked in his songs. Lehrer balanced satire and secrecy with remarkable ease. Lehrer's career was a contradiction: a government worker by day, satirical performer by night. He lived a double life, moving between two worlds that rarely intersected. He refused to fit into any box, and that made him even more compelling. Lehrer's refusal to conform became his signature, inspiring others to embrace their own quirks. His rise was a testament to the power of originality and word of mouth. In an era before viral videos, his music traveled from person to person, building a devoted following. Lehrer was a reluctant celebrity, and that only deepened his appeal. He shunned the spotlight, letting his work speak for itself. He proved you could be brilliant, subversive, and still have a day job. Lehrer's life was proof that creativity and intellect could coexist, even thrive, outside the mainstream. His fame was accidental, but his impact was intentional. Lehrer's songs left a mark on culture, challenging listeners to think, laugh, and question authority. And he never let the spotlight change who he was. Lehrer remained true to himself, a rare quality in any era, and that's what made him unforgettable. What set Lehrer apart from the crowd of mid-century musical satirists? It was his genius for blending irresistibly cheerful melodies with biting, often dark humor that made him unforgettable. Lehrer would take a tune that sounded like it belonged in a Disney film and pair it with lyrics about, say, poisoning pigeons in the park, turning the absurd into something hilariously memorable. His songs were more than just funny. They were intellectual puzzles, packed with clever rhymes, wordplay, and references that rewarded careful listening. Lehrer challenged his listeners to keep up, never dumbing things down or shying away from complex ideas. Poisoning Pigeons in the Park is a perfect example. On the surface, a light-hearted waltz, but underneath, a sharp satire of society's quirks and contradictions. The song's sweet, lilting melody is paired with gleeful mayhem, creating a contrast that's both shocking and delightful. Lehrer was a true master of parody, mimicking musical styles to satirize everything from romance and science to politics and even masochism. The clash between the innocent form and the subversive content was the engine that powered his comedy, keeping audiences on their toes. Every word, every note was meticulously chosen for maximum satirical punch. Nothing was accidental in Lehrer's work. He made it cool to be a nerd, turning knowledge, science, and even mathematics into comedy gold for anyone willing to listen. Lehrer's songs were more than just jokes. They were essays set to music, each one a witty commentary on the world. He built a style that was uniquely his own, smart, subversive, and utterly unforgettable, leaving a mark on comedy and music alike. Intelligence was his comedic tool, and he wielded it with precision, never underestimating his audience. Lehrer didn't just make you laugh, he made you think, and that's what made his work truly revolutionary. Lehrer never shied away from controversy. No topic was off limits. He tackled politics, religion, war, and pollution with a satirical scalpel, not a sledgehammer. The Vatican Rag poked fun at Catholic rituals with a catchy, irreverent tune. Pollution warned about environmental disaster decades before it was mainstream, all in a folksy melody. His Cold War songs, like "We Will All Go Together When We Go," made nuclear apocalypse sound like a sing-along. Lehrer's genius was sneaking profound truths into toe-tapping tunes. He used humor to make the unthinkable memorable, and impossible to ignore. For Lehrer, laughter was the only sane response to an insane world. Tom Lehrer's influence is everywhere in modern comedy. He made being smart and nerdy cool, inventing the genre of intellectual musical satire. Artists like Weird Al and the creators of South Park owe him a debt. Lehrer showed that comedy could be sharp, complex, and fearless. He raised the bar for comedians, inspiring them to tackle politics and social issues with wit. His impact extends beyond music. He changed stand-up and satire forever. Lehrer's body of work is small, but its legacy is massive. His songs are still discovered by new generations online, as relevant as ever. He's the velvet underground of comedy. Not everyone heard him, but those who did were inspired. Lehrer proved that a well-crafted joke could change the way we see the world. He was a true original, opening new doors for comedy, and he did it all with brains, bravery, and a piano. At the height of his fame, Lehrer simply walked away from music. No farewell tour, no drama, he just stopped. He famously quipped that satire became obsolete when Kissinger won the Nobel Peace Prize. Lehrer felt the world had grown too absurd to satirize, and he had no desire to keep performing. He returned to his other love teaching mathematics at UC Santa Cruz. Imagine discovering your calculus professor was a legendary satirist. Students described him as brilliant, dedicated, and caring. Lehrer chose quiet intellectual engagement over public applause. In a world obsessed with fame, his retreat was radical and inspiring. He showed that success isn't about the spotlight, it's about following your passions. Lehrer's legacy is as much about his choices as his songs. He proved you can have a profound impact, then step back with grace. True fulfillment for Lehrer was living on his own terms. Decades later, Lehrer's songs feel eerily relevant. His satire on pollution, hypocrisy, and blind obedience still hits home. Lehrer wrote about human nature, our flaws, our follies, our willingness to follow authority. That's why songs like Werner von Braun still resonate. The internet has introduced his work to new generations, who are drawn to his wit and honesty. In a world of bland entertainment, Lehrer's raw genius stands out. We still listen because he helps us laugh at what scares us. Laughter doesn't fix the world, but it helps us survive it. Lehrer's songs are a secret weapon for the cynical optimist. Even facing doom, a clever joke and a catchy tune can bring clarity and hope. What's the final lesson from Tom Lehrer's life? Humor in his hands was more than laughter. It was education, connection, and critique. He smuggled big ideas into funny songs, making us think while we laughed. Lehrer's satire was fearless, never softened for mass appeal. He showed that you can critique the world without cruelty and be serious without losing your sense of humor. His life teaches us that fulfillment isn't about fame, but about pursuing what truly matters to you. Lehrer lived on his own terms, comfortable with all his contradictions. He found the punchline in the chaos of life, inviting us to laugh together. His music reminds us that humor is how we process, challenge, and connect. For that, we owe him our gratitude. Thank you, Tom.